Hi friends, I am Shravanalakshmi and welcome back to my channel Sparkling Future. Today we will discuss about reading XML data from a CSV file. Before starting with today's topic, I request all of you to subscribe to my channel and also please like, share, comment and hit the bell icon for the latest video notifications. Thank you. So today this also requested by one of our friends. So the requirement is like there is a CSV file which has like normal columns in a CSV file and also an XML data in a single file, like usually for work logs and all will come in XML formats, right? So now we have to flatten that structure, so ID should be there and also the flattened structure should be there in this format. So now we will see this requirement. So let's start coding for this. So friends, I have created the object, defined the main method, set the property so that I don't receive that winutils.exe exception, and defined the created the Spark session variable. So now let's create the data frame. Before that I wanted to show you the file also, okay? ID and work log. ID some number I have given and some work log. So here I am taking a normal XML file which will have 3 to 4 columns, okay? This one, okay, some employee name, employee ID and designation, okay, that is the record. Okay, some simple XML I have taken in the second column which is work log. So now let's create the data frame out of it. It has header XML underscore data dot CSV file. Now let's print this to see how exactly it is there. And as we are going to work with the XML data, right, we will use the Databricks libraries. So if you see here, ID and the entire XML is in the second column which is the work log, okay? I'll comment this. So now let's import some very important libraries for working with the XML, okay? com.databricks. From XML. Schema of XML, because we need to work with the schema, right, for that. And then as usual spark.implicit, so that we can use the encoders and all that stuff for reading the XML data, okay? So now let's create the schema to fetch the work log, okay? So for that, schema of XML is the function, that's why we have imported this library, okay? So for this function we have to select we have to provide the select statement of which from where we have to fetch the schema of the XML as a string. So that is the use of this. So work log is the column name here, right? If you see, work log is the column work log, okay? So now we are saying that we need that as string, okay? So now this schema has the schema of this work log and we are fetching that as string, and then we'll create some payload df or something, okay? We'll fetch that as a data frame. And so now here we have to apply this schema to this data frame, then only we can get the schema of this work log which is the XML format, right? So for that we have to use like this. We'll say payload, I mean any number can be given, okay? Anything is fine. So here we will use the from XML, that's why we have imported this library. Okay, so for this we have to give the input, like from which column we have to read the XML file, and we have to provide which schema we need to apply. Okay, so this one, whatever we have fetched the schema, right, that one we are applying for this XML. Okay, and we are closing it. So next we can actually query and see this, but let's do this. And also once we have this schema, right, so let's drop the work log. We don't require it anymore. Okay, you can actually, when you are trying, right, you can create my schema.show, then payload.df.show, like that you can run the code for a separate line so that you will understand what exactly is happening in the step by step. Okay, now let's take another data frame one, because here we have to because this is in the different tag formats, and actually I will show you how I am going to take this step. Okay, so if you print the schema of this, show, if you print the schema of this, you will understand why we are going to write the next step. Okay, so now we have taken the payload and we are applying my schema to this. Understood, right? So here, if you see here, it has taken ID and payload is of struct type. So remember that if it is map or array or something like that, then we can use explode for splitting the columns. Because this is struct type, Spark itself will be able to read the struct types using the dot star method. Okay, so because of that reason, next step what we are going to do is create some data frame. Okay, you can give any name, and this payload.df, and we are going to select all the columns, and also in that all the columns we want to split this payload column. Split means here whatever we are having, right, everything will come in the within a brace, single brace. Okay, for that reason I am using this one, because that is a struct. I showed you in the printing, by printing the schema, right, because that is struct type can be shown like this. Okay, can be read using the dot star method. Understood, right? So now after that, because it's okay, let's show this. Now you will understand what we need to do next. So if you see the payload that has two braces, I mean it has split that entire XML into normal array kind of a list, some struct it has given to this one. So now when we do payload dot star and we are selecting that, it has given in the single brace. You can see the difference, right? So it has made a bit simpler format. Now from here again, because this is also struct, now you can actually print schema and see. So now this from this record we are going to flatten the structure. So for that what we can do is, you can try to do all these in a single step. Okay, it is very much possible. Just for your understanding, I am writing in the multiple this ones, multiple statements. Okay, now we have seen that record is the one which is present in the data. When we did that, we have seen the record is by default it has taken the name. So now let's select that. Let's see what exactly we have in this record when we do record dot star. So now if you see designation, employee ID, employee name, so this structure is flattened. Now let's take a final DF. Okay, you have to uncomment this, otherwise it will give error, because when you use dot show, the type of this it will change from data frame to unit. Because of that reason I will comment usually. Okay, and yeah, here we need only like ID, designation, employee ID, name, right? So now d3 dot select ID comma whatever we need, or directly we can say drop also, because we don't need anything, right? So df dot drop payload, so it will select everything but it will drop payload. And we don't need record also, because record again contains this array of items. Okay, then we don't need this underscore id. Underscore id, usually why it come is, you usually understand, right, the XML structure. So inside the tag, if there are any elements or as attributes, okay, so that one it will in the when you read it in Spark, it will consider that as underscore id. So even that we don't need. So now we will drop all these things and then we'll say show. Okay, now you got why we got the error, right? This df I am printing, I mean of course it has only 2 columns, right? So this is the data frame that we have to take here. So now let's run this with the by selecting the correct data frame. And if you see, the structure is flattened. Okay, so this is how we can read XML from a file, from a CSV file. Okay, so now let's say this is the simple XML tag I have taken. So let's say it has multiple table columns, I mean multiple rows. Okay, like within a record tag there cannot be iterative record IDs also available, right? I mean it's like a complex XML. If you wanted to work with a complex XML, then just perform the same steps. Okay, now you read the schema, you apply the schema, you get fetch everything, you fetch into this payload. Once you have it, you try to flatten the structure like this, because once you apply the schema it will become a struct only, struct type. But you will have it in different different names. Okay, because it is iterating, I mean multiple records will be there inside a single XML tag. So for that reason you just step by step try to regularize, I mean in the sense try to reduce the complexity of the nested XML into simple XML. And here only we have got only 2 because of the simple XML. So you might have to perform these kind of things multiple times until you get that nested XML into simple XML. Okay, so I have another video also present to deal with how to read nested XML. So in that, from that also you can try to see how to generalize the, I mean how to flatten the structure from the nested XML, and you apply that code here. From here till here the code will be same. Okay, or maybe till here the code will be same. After that what you have to do, you can actually refer to that nested XML reading video and you can apply it here. I'll give that video in the I button. Okay, and hope this is what is the requirement. Okay, one of our friends asked this how to work with XML with the CSV file. Okay, hope this is helpful to you friends. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more interesting learnings. Thank you.